This is a special edition of Late Night Health. I'm Mark Allen. I'm very pleased to talk to my friend, Dr. Ken Redcross. He's a concierge physician. He just won an award on that, doctor.
I did. Very, very fortunate and blessed. Yes, definitely. Anything that's focusing on patients first makes me happy. So it's nice to get the award, Mark, but it's all about them, to be quite honest.
That is terrific. And you do see patients as well. I mean, you
I
do
do.
a lot of
Oh,
things.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I travel with patients. I make house calls, whatever it takes to get that bond that I always talk about, the trust, respect, the empathy, and the communication, and how I can do that, whether it's in the home, traveling with the patient, I do my best.
Um, Ken spent some time out here in Southern California. In fact, I'm not going to give his cell number out, but if I want to get hold of Ken, Dr. Redcross, he still has a San Fernando Valley phone number, and
I
I
do.
love it. I think you and your family should move out here.
I know you and me both. I try each and every day. Every time I get out there and see you and our friends, I always want to come back home, really.
I just, tell your kids, hey, it's Disneyland.
Yeah, listen, I can try that, but I have two 16-year-olds. Good
Oh,
luck with that, Mark. They don't listen to me anyway, so
no, and I want you to know when they get even older,
don't
they don't
say it.
listen
Don't say it. Don't say
anyway.
it.
I'm going to talk about gut health with you.
Yeah,
You've talked about the gut being the second brain. What do you
yeah.
mean?
Everyone, I know all of you are hearing a lot about the importance of gut health, especially now that we're all becoming really healthy. But, we also hear about a neurotransmitter called serotonin, Mark. We've heard of that all of our lives. But did we know that serotonin is primarily manufactured in the gut, which really helps us understand what we mean about that connection of the brain gut axis and understanding how having our gut health right can really help as far as our moods, our emotions, in addition to our health.
With gut health, I mean, I think everybody experiences indigestion at one time
Sure,
or another,
sure.
right? If it's constant, then you got to go to and see a doc, right?
That's right. That's right.
How do I take care of my gut? How do we take care of our gut?
Well, look, one of the things we're finding now, guys, as we talk about the brain gut axis, is that one of the things we're missing in our lives are not only the right diets and that sort of things, but we also need to make sure that we understand all of the science around probiotics. It's kind of the catchphrase, but for good reason, because we're realizing that probiotics can not only balance, but they can also help us manage going forward, staying healthier and whole, especially since over the years our microbiome has changed so much, which has impacted and affected our health.
Let's take a look at the word microbiome. Um, I mean, a biome is the planet. Planet Earth is a biome.
Right,
Okay.
right, right.
Micro, does that mean my body, my
Well,
specific body?
so in this case, everyone, when we're talking about the microbiome, it's interesting. When you look at us, we're looking at us, we all have cells, but we have more cells in our gut that is really the microbiome that we're talking about. We're talking about good and healthy bacteria. Look, there's a lot of great information online. There's a website, probiotics.com, where I'm an advisor for, where you get a ton of information about what we mean about the microbiome. But now we're recognizing that if we alter our microbiome, we can also alter our health for good or for worse, depending on what we're actually putting in there. So just realize that as you're walking around in your everyday life, Mark, you actually have a life going on in your gut each and every day that's trying to repel all the insults that try to come in and make us ill.
Now, uh, we've talked about probiotics many times over the years here on Late Night Health. Um, this is an allergy season, and it's supposed to be the record allergy season,
Yeah,
with everything from running nose, sneezing, congestion, even headaches, uh,
yeah,
uh, red irritated eyes. I can go on and on, and
absolutely.
I'm obviously talking about myself here.
Right.
Here in Southern California, the pollen count is way up, and it is throughout the country. Can probiotics help in this?
This is the good part here, Mark, of what we're talking about. People are tuning in now. They're like, well, look, I've heard about this brain gut axis. Why the heck are they talking about probiotics and allergies? Well, for good reason. Look, so there's so many different probiotics out there to use. One of the companies that I typically love to kind of go to is Kyodophilus probiotics. Reason why I choose them, because guys, they click off a couple of boxes. Not only have they been around for 30 years with clinically tested things or clinically tested research, but they have this friendly trio, Mark is called. It's a trio of probiotics that have been studied together. See, that's the key. Sometimes you hear about studies, Mark, and they'll study one strain of a probiotic and say, oh, it does this. Very rarely do you get kind of a unit. So this friendly trio is an important one. In fact, there was a clinical trial done out of the NIH that showed that one of the reasons why we were having more allergies is because we didn't have that variability in our gut. And this friendly trio was actually shown to do some of the things that you just talked about, to help with sneezing, to help with some of the allergies. And more importantly, the friendly trio also showed that the people resulted having better quality of life. Can you imagine that during
Wow.
allergy season? I know, and I get allergies just like you, Mark. So when you're thinking about a probiotic, I want you guys to shift your gears. It's not only about immunity, which is huge. It's not only about just our gut health, but now let's recognize what it can do for allergy season.
Uh, a lot of products have a single bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
acidophilus, very
Yeah.
common one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can get that in a good quality yogurt. Um, uh, are we eating dairy this week, or not?
Right, right. I know. It depends on what show you turn on, what station.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I personally limit my dairy, mainly because my
Yeah.
tummy doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So, but should we look for a trio like you're just talking about, where they blend several probiotics, which are the bacterias, um, rather than a single strain?
Yeah, you should. And so when you talk about that friendly trio, everyone, the reason why I think it's equally important is that look, they have bifidobacterium, lactobacillus, things that you'll read on the labels that are really long. But the thing about the friendly trio is that there's data behind it. But there's data specifically, as we're talking about now, for what it can do for our allergy symptoms. And that's kind of a game changer. But once again, everybody's microbiome is different, Mark. So that's why I mentioned that probiotics.com is a wonderful resource to go to and learn more about probiotics, learn more about the science of why at the allergy level, how our microbiome is really altered by when you take the right probiotic. And sometimes it takes a little bit of trial and error, but you want to make sure you get the right probiotic. But if you do go out and get this probiotic, you want it to be studied and you want it to be tested. That's the big key.
All right, the newest word that's out there, doctor, is prebiotic.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So I know what a probiotic is. You've just explained it. What's a prebiotic?
So look, this is the exciting thing. So you guys can see I'm a big probiotic guy. So this excites me. So when you talk about a prebiotic, everyone, so think about that probiotic, which is a bacteria that's floating in your gut. The prebiotic, think about it as almost fertilizer, almost food. Because what happens is that when you have that probiotic sees it and says, it looks pretty good to me. I think that can actually help me grow, which is good for good bacteria. You want them to grow, you want them to be stimulated. And so when they're stimulated, this beautiful kind of milieu of solution is created, which can be relaxing to the gut lining. Some data talks about how it can help the junctions of the gut with leaky gut, that sort of thing. So a prebiotic is kind of the new thing. And when I mentioned that the before about the Chiodophilus probiotics, they have one called Pro Plus Syn biotic. So the Pro Plus Symbiotic, to your point, Mark, has a prebiotic and has a probiotic. So it's kind of nice to play off of each other together on one formula. But all of the products, at least the Chiodophilus probiotics, they all have the friendly trio. So you're going to get that. But with Pro Plus Symbiotic, it's two things together to get that prebiotic that you're talking about.
Let's talk about eating. Everybody knows, I hope. I also do Mark
Right.
Allen Cooks.
Yep.
Maybe we'll have Ken on very soon. I'd love to
Right.
have that
Me too.
Dr. Red Cross on. And we try to do everything healthy, but every now and then I want a steak. I just said that to my wife the other day.
Right. Right. Right.
I imbibe a little bit of alcohol maybe
Hmm.
twice a week, maybe three
Okay.
times sometimes. And alcohol consumption has gone way up because of the
Of the
pandemic.
pandemic,
Right.
exactly.
So uh, I know that it's not good for me, but I don't eat beef on a regular basis, and I've got this taste for a skirt steak like you just won't believe.
I
My,
understand.
so is that okay once in a while?
All right, so look, Mark, I will say that kind of on the foods we kind of want to avoid for our microbiome, you hit a couple of them in alcohol and red meat. But I'll tell everyone, look, this beautiful life experience that we all live, you need to enjoy it too, right? So if you want that skirt steak, Mark, I would ask someone or any of you watching or listening, if you're going to eat an 8-ounce skirt steak, can we do 4 ounces with some vegetables around it and kind of meet you in the middle? For alcohol, like you said, it's all about moderation. They both can affect the microbiome, but once again, we can balance that with some of the prebiotics. We can balance that with Pro Plus Synbiotic, all these things that we can kind of bring in now that we're learning more, can actually balance those things. So you got to live, but let's do those in moderation.
All right. Do you personally indulge once in a while?
You know, it's funny. I'm one of the weird guys. I just had a meeting out in Canada, in Quebec, and they all love wine, and I'm just not a drinker or wine guy. I get headaches every time, Mark. Probably the sulfite. So I'm not a drinker, but a little red meat occasionally. But once again, I usually don't do over 4 ounces, and I tend to have a ton of vegetables around it. But once again, red meat for me is maybe a couple times a month.
Got it. Oh, I wish I did it that often. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
you
if
know.
that. And that's maybe if I like you have a taste for one of those skirt steaks or filet mignon, I try to go lean cuts if I'm going to eat beef. I'm a big fish guy when it comes, to some clean sources of protein that are not deleterious to the gut biome.
Uh, we just did a show on eggs. We made an omelet.
Nice.
I read online that if you're healthy, if your heart healthy, you
Yeah,
can eat as many as 12 eggs a week. I think I'd get tired of eggs quickly, but it's a
yeah,
cheap source of protein. They've got a
yeah, it
lot of
is.
nutrients in
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Even the brand that I was consuming out here in the West is Vital Farms.
yeah.
They're non-GMO, et cetera, et cetera. Um, Free range chickens. They take good care of their girls, as they call them.
Right.
But my point is there a limit that we should have on eggs?
So look, so it's funny you bring up the eggs. Eggs are something that's kind of it's a mainstay as far as in my diet, Mark, to be quite honest. If you're doing the math that you mentioned, I probably have at least one egg at least 4 times a week. And I also do egg whites with my egg as I make like a special omelet each morning. So I use that because I like to do a lot of training, a lot of exercising, whether it's cycling or weightlifting, which I enjoy doing. So eggs are like pure protein, and you get like 6 grams out of it. You get a little bit of the cholesterol, which is necessary for your cell walls and so forth. So eggs are a nice clean way to get about 6, 7 grams of protein. So they're not evil. Like they have been in the past, like you were
Right.
joking, it just really depends. So eggs are a nice part of what I do each and every day for training and also for just making sure to just keep the mass that I want.
You don't eat the yolk. That's the best part of the egg.
You know what? I eat one. So what I
uh,
usually do, everyone, is I take a half cup of egg whites and one egg. So I have one yolk in there actually.
okay.
So I
There's
do
a,
have one.
all right. It's I love the a runny yolk.
Yeah. I'm
It
like
just
you.
tastes so good. Tastes so good.
Exactly.
Um, with eggs, and you mentioned the word cholesterol, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
I talked to a cardiologist a number of years ago who wanted to put statin drugs in the water supply along with
Oh,
fluoride. I
oh.
know. So let's talk about statin drugs uh,
Well,
for a
all
second.
right. So I'll tell you this, guys. So everybody knows what a statin is. And look, even though you guys know I am Western trained, I trained here in Columbia, here in New York, not too far from here. And so I'm fine with Western medicine, but I've kind of seen the light over the years of a 20-year practice to say, there's other ways to heal and stay well, which is why in the wellness space, we talk about a lot of these things. But when it comes to statins, there's definitely a place and a use for them, but let's recognize that you can't necessarily take a statin and not be aware of potential side effects. Liver function tests should be looked at. Are you having muscle aches? So it needs to have that bond that I talk about with your doctor. Statins are not necessarily evil either, Mark, but it's something that needs to be watched closely, and make sure you have an understanding of why you're on that statin and why you need it.
And what about supplements to lower cholesterol? Is that a good thing to do?
It is. One of the things. I mean, there's so many different things out there. There's berberine. Berberine is a newer sort of supplement for some, but not only does it have a benefit on blood sugar, but it does have an effect on cholesterol as well for what it does with the LDL receptor. So there's a lot of novel, cool things to kind of bring in to our toolkit in order to stay healthy. In addition to the probiotics we're talking about today. So look, my goal, Mark, is that as everyone starts to hear that you and I are talking food, and maybe one day on the show, that they look up or either go to probiotics.com and say, let me learn a little bit more about what I can do and why Dr. Red Cross is trying to make sure I change my microbiome, why I'm doing that. And so when they do, I think they're going to really realize, gosh, it should be a part of your diet each and every day to have a good probiotic, or try to get some probiotics through diet as well. It's just a little tougher, Mark, to get enough of them, but in balance, you could definitely do something really special for your health.
Listen, Dr. Redcross, thank you as always for joining me. I still contend that you should move out here and in my neighborhood, because I'd sign up with you in a heartbeat.
Oh man, I take good care of you, Mark. I promise. I promise.
You're going to take good care of me even from New York.
All right, that's true. Thank God for telemedicine.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, if you're interested in finding out more, go to probiotics.com. That's probiotics.com. You can learn about the various things that probiotics and prebiotics can do for you. And I know that Dr. Redcross will be back with us. It's been a long time.
I know, too long.
Too long.
COVID kind of threw us off, but now we're back. We're beating COVID down and we're back together, Mark.
You got it. All right. Thank you, Dr. Redcross. Thank you for watching. I'm Mark Allen. This has been a special edition of Late Night Health.